masculine and feminine darlings. This is the Seraphim Gypsy, SeraFae, Indigo, Empress, and Shiloh Horizon, picking up a whole bunch of channels. I don't plan to be here for too long though. Slow down. Thank you. But I do have a little reading to do. This will be a healing focused reading. Cheers. Brave fight. Okay, so this is about people who were wounded either by standing up for people or what was right, or they were I feel like it was both unjustly wounded and then a lot of times targeted for standing up for people or through the process of it. Yeah, the wonder hunting fight. Because we were minding our happy little light worker business before they decided to target us or other people and disturb the peace. Self-centered fight. Yeah, it was a very self-centered thing for them to do, to target what? Vulnerable people or put people in vulnerable positions to try to make them easier to dominate. That's pathetic and weak. That's a no for me. The untamed fight, yeah. I noticed my demeanor just got a little feisty. There's a plow truck outside. The hatchling fight. This may have been over your innocence. You were just minding your happy little business, or children. They were targeting children. And then people for standing up for the children who were being targeted. Yeah, illuminated fight. They may have started to target people for whistleblowing about child abuse. The imperfect fight. And so they wanted to smear campaign people as imperfect to distract from the fact that neither are they, but they wanted to try to level the playing field. They wanted to distract from the fact that they've got issues by trying to falsely accuse other people of having issues or creating issues for other people. It didn't actually make them better, but what they did think was that they could make themselves look better than the person they were slandering, and that would distract people from whatever the person they were slandering was saying, like the fact that they've been abusing children. It's the Darvo tactic, classic Darvo. But they played dirty, the wandering fight. Protection fight. So the wandering fight being a reference of the fact of a few things. In some cases, they traveled and they stalked people via their little travel transmissions. In other cases, they sent people from different jurisdictions and locations and arenas to stalk, unfortunately. Flaunting fight. So they thought that they could bully people into submission and like, no, not play in people's faces about the fact that they thought that they got one over on the authorities, or that they were in the system with running the system with dirty cops so that they didn't have to answer to the authorities, or whatever the combination. I keep getting this flash though of Jezebel. And that's exactly what she did. In fact, the prophet Elijah stated that she was going to be cast away and then eaten by the dogs. And then she was standing in a window taunting whoever it was that she was taunting, and they had her ordered to be cleared out of the palace. She stood in the palace, in the window. And she was an evil queen. Just before anybody gets alarmed at this reference, who doesn't understand the context. Jezebel was basically the era of biblical Columbine. So she would go around, do you believe in God? Written on our blood, say yes to pull the trigger. Do you believe in God? So Columbine, also for those who don't know what I'm talking about there, Columbine was unfortunately a shooting that happened, a school shooting. And this boy was trying to prove a religious point. He had some issues with some things, definitely mentally, but I think with the system and maybe his parents, don't quote me on that part, but what he was doing, definitely with God, also probably mental illness. He was going around asking students in the school, do you believe in God? And if they said no, if I recall, he would walk away from them and ignore them. If they said yes, he would shoot them point blank. As if to say, well, where's your God now? If your God is real and so powerful, who's stopping me from taking you out? This dude was trying to prove that God didn't exist, or maybe even just defy the divine, whatever his issue was. That's what he was doing. So terrible. But to understand the context, that's what Jezebel was doing. She was going around and asking people to convert to her demonic religion and worship. And if they wouldn't, she would kill them or have them killed. So she was murdering God's people because they wouldn't worship the devil effectively. Which isn't very nice, you see. At all. Manifestation. So and I thought that they could get away with this, or block people's blessings, block people's manifestations. So Jezebel was standing in the window, interesting, taunting, and she was thrown out of the window, and before anybody could get to her, she was eaten, or noticed her, she was eaten by the dogs, just as prophesized. It's also giving me a flash of the Joan of Arc story. Where you have Joan of Arc in the Loire River. This was the gatehouse that was taken over. So the English had taken over the gatehouse in France. And you've got the captain of the English, jeering at Joan, calling her a witch, calling her basically a prostitute, when actually she was a virgin. And all of this was while he was standing at the top of the gatehouse, which wasn't his. It was the gatehouse that he stormed and held hostage, took hostage from the French. It was their means of transportation across the river to get food and supplies and such across. So they took over the gatehouse thinking that it would force the French to forfeit, like give over their country. And instead, what happened was, yeah, I could, but thank you. Joan blew up the bridge. I mean, they couldn't get across anyway because the English had taken it over, so at least they couldn't get across to hurt the French. That was their thought process, and the French found a way to get around that. They used a boat to transport supplies. So somebody's asking again, like, well, why didn't the English do that? Probably because the French had a boat handy right there. I would say it was their territory. Nonetheless, and irregardless, so the captain was standing in a stolen gatehouse, kidnapped tower, and jeering at Joan. And then just a few days later, he was actually shot down by an arrow, a French arrow, and he fell out of that same gate tower and he drowned in the river that they had to put a boat in, that Joan had to put a boat in just to get supplies to the French. So there's that. Clairaudience. Mercury. There's communication happening. Or you may be getting clairaudient communication. Mediumship, claircognizance. It's also just about clear knowing. I just heard a karmic say, speaking of, it's not fair they're talking about me. It's not fair that she has all the clairs. I hear it makes it too easy for her to pick up what we're doing and then deflect our attacks. No, you shouldn't be attacking people. You don't have the clearance to do so. I said no, it's a violation of my free will and the free will of my collective telepathy. I heard that. I'm psychic, not stupid. And thank you very much. Boss babe. Administration. Wow. Pluto. Dream space for one, also transformative energy. Yes. Scholar. She's too smart for us was the energy. Service. And they don't like it when I come here to help people. Specifically also why I do keep coming back. Kindness. Killing with kindness. King. Drawing divine masculine into divine feminine. Yeah. It's their independence, their authenticity. Speaking of music. Telepathy. Intuition. Perfectionist. So in some cases this may be that the divine masculines are saying, yes, you hit the nail on the head, because I did speak about this earlier. Some of these divine masculines have been waiting to come through. It's like they've been called to come through and communicate and connect with divine feminine, but because they want to have a situation fully established or fully completed in organizing their time together, you know, or their first date, or like whatever it is that they're getting organized, they're wanting it to be perfect. And so until it is, they've been waiting. And in the meantime, it's like hair stale or dry, like when a conversation goes dry, it's like she's losing interest, or like something about, in some cases, she's gotten bored, or situation being stagnant. Self-centered fight. Yeah, I mean, like, he left her. You know what I've been hearing over the last couple of weeks? Some of these masculines were actually called to be connecting with their feminine sooner, and they've been pushing back the timeline because they just haven't been taking that leap of faith in some cases. And And it's like he thinks he has to do everything on his own, get everything organized all by himself till it's perfect. But also then he's leaving divine feminine wide open, especially since these karmics know that there's a divine masculine, even energetically, and that they don't want the twins to come together. So they try to target especially divine feminine if they think or know she's more vulnerable. I hear it's easier to attack a woman. That's what they're saying. It's a karmic male. That's gross, dude. You're gross. There's extra emphasis on this. Yeah, the darkest fight. So, these are people who really play dirty. They try to create danger, the invisible fight. They try to hide how volatile and dark and malicious and evil they were being. Their intent was truly wandering fight, yeah, so that they could keep it going. Longing fight, because they just didn't want to give it up. The raging fight, and that's why they're so angry. And you see, they try to trigger light workers into responding in defense, but that's a valid response when you've got somebody coming at you hostilely. And that's often not how we respond, but even when it is, it's well warranted. And they shouldn't have crossed that line, because it took a lot often. You know? Okay, thank you. The roaring fight. They didn't want people to speak the truth. The instinctive fight. Or trust their intuition. Here's why they tried to scare people and scatter people in. The make-believe fight, right? Slander people. Also try to sleep deprive people, I was picking up, because they were trying that for a while too. Or they did. In some cases, for some people, maybe they didn't stop. I hear no. Well, I'm so sorry that you're dealing with that, if that's what you're going through. I'm sending love. Not everybody's dealing with that. Not I'm sorry because it's my fault, but on behalf of the apology that I assume that you will very likely not get from the people causing this issue for you, and definitely not authentically if it does come, as a channel for the universe. Apologies. Because you deserve better, so don't settle. Sunlight. Make sure to get out into nature, even if it's cold, even if it's just for a few minutes. Organic food, recovery. Make sure to put good nourishment, good nutrients in your body that will help you heal. I'm thinking of also making a point to be mindful of inflammatory substances or food in some cases. Both. Somebody asks why that's important. Because inflammation keeps the body from healing. Inflammation is the opposite of healing. Hydration. Remember to stay hydrated so your cells can repair themselves fully. Make sure to also get the proper nutrients. If you are not, it doesn't really matter if you're consuming enough water if you're not getting the right nutrients, because your body can't get everything it needs from the water to properly fuel your cells. You need those nutrients. The reason being is that we are creatures made of salt water, humans. And so you need to have enough salt in your diet and other minerals, but not too much. And too much water, especially at too quickly of a pace, can actually make people sick. So yes, there's something about having enough water, but not too much too quickly. And there's also, you need to make sure to replenish the saline levels, salt levels in your system. Not too much. You don't want to dehydrate yourself with salt, but you need to make sure to have enough of the minerals that you need, and that will help you more effectively hydrate with the fluid. Somebody says, well, what about the salt? Salt is a mineral. It's just one of a number of them that we need. Also, just it's something to think about. Humans need iodine, and we don't, like your typical American, maybe Canadian, I don't know about other cultures. We don't often get iodine in our diets. Table salt has iodine, but if you're not using table salt and you're using like pink Himalayan, which is fine, I use that too, you're not getting the iodine out of table salt, so you need to be getting it from somewhere else. Seaweed is one, but not everybody eats sushi or any dish with seaweed or somewhere else. It comes from a few sources, but a lot of people don't know about this or care about this, and some people are fine with table salt. But also table salt is, other than the iodine that it provides, the worst kind of salt for your body. 2122. Just has to do with absorption levels and composition levels, composition makeup. Sobriety also. Divine intervention. Okay. So being mindful not to put yourself around substance influences, people on substances, people seeking to expose themselves to substances is important. Being mindful to keep your own system clear, not drinking, for one, or doing, I was saying like pills, doing drugs of any kind that will lower your frequency. Sleep, this can also affect your sleep. So this will lower your frequency and affect your sleep. And what that does, home health, is it makes it harder for you to regulate your life and your schedule and your home and your routine. Makes it harder for you to see yourself clearly. And it also makes it harder for you to tune into the divine. Also, if you're needing to recover from using some kind of substance, even just like a night out drinking, you're probably not going to work out the next day, especially if you're hungover. Seeing somebody on heroin or some kind of opiate makes them tired and they're not doing anything productive or healthy with their day. And so the substances are unhealthy themselves, but the way that they interfere with people's otherwise healthy routines or ability to structure a healthy routine is also a problem. But there's an emphasis also about people who try to influence others to use. So be mindful of the company you keep. Crown chakra, third eye, ear chakra type. No, that's a no. Return to center. You're brilliant. Peacock. I just wrote in a journal with one of those on it earlier. Explore fullness. Okay. So there's a level of expansion and satisfaction that's about to open up. Wisdom of the solar plexus. It's from creativity, hard work from creativity. Yep, hard work. Coming to fruition from some kind of creative endeavor or project, something you put effort and work into. Being able to move forward from these old cycles, and also the ship can symbolize abundance, but also travel. Tap into your sacral power. I did mention that in the previous reading. So we've got the solar plexus and the sacral chakra. Both of these came out, not in this deck, but in a different one in the previous reading. Oops. Okay. Magic, the magic of nothingness. So in some cases, this is about just resting, taking the time to rest, not needing to do anything. But in other cases, you know, this is reminding me of that celestial kingdom of it's from the Never-Ending Story. Maybe I should grab that deck. This is about clearing these people out who just don't really mean anything. The magic of nothingness, the magic of understanding that they don't really have any relevance or importance other than the false narratives or stories that they tried to force their way into our life with. I mean, like, that's nothing. That's not credible. They've got nothing. Erase them from your life. Wash them away, so to speak. It's about minding your business and moving forward. And it's something that they struggle to do, clearly. Is there anything else? I think we're pretty good now. Let's do a bit of Reiki. And then we'll do a couple of modalities first to clear the energy. And I'll also light some sage. There's abundance Reiki coming through. I'm also hearing something again about alopecia Reiki. Somebody watching me, there may be more than one, but I know of at least one that's come through saying that they've been working on healing this. But there may be others because it keeps coming up. Alopecia Reiki. Hope this helps. Just gonna do one of two things, one of a few. Help heal and regulate the system, the nervous system, even just spiritually speaking, to the point where your body has less oxidative stress, meaning less of an issue producing its own functions like it should, including hair growth, or just natural function of the system. In other cases, if there are past life wounds and injuries that are impacting that or the chakra, I did pick up a chakra attack, crown, ear, third eye, on the left too, or excuse me, on the right. They're wanting to keep people from moving forward. $29.33. Thank you. One message at a time, please. Thanks. Weird, very strange energy. So, if it's from a past life cycle, right? Say a crown chakra issue that may manifest as some kind of issue in that regard. I mean, there were many, like, stereotypical I'm air quoting here, cowboys and Indians. There were references of scalping there. It's why you don't say, oh, let's bury the hatchet and things like that to a native. It just goes back to racial issues. I mean, really, it's a racial derogatory statement regardless, but when you say it to a native, it's especially offensive and frankly pretty ignorant. They're super angry, I feel that. Just seething. Very strange. I hear that our distraction tactics aren't working. No, they're not. Very strange. Let me just sit with this for a second. Yeah, I don't know why. They're saying, I don't know why I did that to her. Nothing we did is working. So it sounds like they're regretting targeting a divine feminine. Another thing that it can help with is, if not any of the previous two or a combination, and at least align people with more effectively, or help them cross paths with those who are in alignment with them, like the right doctor for their case if they need that kind of physical medical intervention. I keep getting a flash. It's been bothering me for 3 days, 2 or 3 days now. I had to go do an errand the other day, and I went somewhere and ended up looking at this lady's hair who was behind the customer service desk. And I was admiring it. She was an older lady. It's not hair that I would want, but I liked it on her. Like, as a stylist, I was admiring it. As somebody who went to cosmetology school, I was admiring it. And as I was looking at it, she started to play with it, or like touch the side of her head a little bit, and I said, I was just admiring your hair. And she told me, she thanked me, but told me it was tender, and then went on to explain that normally, I won't get into the depth of it, but actually I'm being called to do that. Normally they would go in with I think she said 40 volume bleach. Yeah, 40 volume bleach and developer. But that was causing a really bad chemical burn, so I guess they went in with 20 volume in 2 sessions, or that's the one that her stylist recommended. But then they put her under the dryer and to help activate the bleach. Bleach already turns, the chemical reaction of bleach already makes it hot anyway. So you can use heat to speed up the process, or if certain parts of the hair are processing too quickly, then to make sure that, like, let's say that for those who don't know, when people I have so much to say about this. Let's just keep it simple for now. My stylist brain is spinning on all these things to scold people not to do. With love. But let's just start with this. When people do their hair at home, when they put like color or bleach on their hair, they tend to start slathering it on often at the roots, like you do with shampoo. Now, the reason you do this with shampoo is because the roots are what has the most oil. The oil comes from the skin. And so you want to wash that out first. And then you work down, work the ends down. But counterintuitively, meaning I know it seems like you should just put it all on top of your head. Also, maybe because it's easier, less mess, you just plop it on the top of your head and then like swipe it back like you would shampoo or conditioner, or some people do. Some people don't put it on their scalp because it makes their hair too heavy or their skin doesn't like it. So they'll put it on the ends and the mid lengths, and then like what's left on their hands, maybe they'll work into the top. Just to keep it a little bit lighter. Depends on people and their hair type and their needs individually. But a lot of people most people in fact that do this at home, they start at the roots with hair color or bleach. They do not start at the ends, and it seems like you should, just like shampoo or often conditioner, although again a lot of people do start at the ends and the mid-lengths for conditioner. You are supposed to, and those who work conditioner like that, that's the way you're supposed to do bleach, generally speaking. Or again, it's from going on a case-by-case basis. Test strands are also important. Somebody says, why a test strand? Because a test strand could save you from accidentally burning all of your hair off or something. If you do it on one strand, you know if it'll work or not before ruining the whole rest of your... Yeah, okay. Well, that's logical. Yep. So the thing about bleach is that, again, specifically bleach, it gets hot when the chemical activation processes. And to put somebody under the dryer, that can make it move faster. But you have to be careful that it doesn't get too hot or it's not on there for too long. It can hurt the skin, it can hurt the hair. Just in general, it's a chemical. And that is not including people who 38, 22 just have sensitivities. Some people are just very chemical sensitive anyway, right? Somebody said, I didn't realize how much there was to this. Yeah, my favorite classes in cosmetology school were actually anatomy and chemistry. Also, I liked to do nails on the physical application side of things, but anyway. So, in regards to the case-by-case basis, if somebody's coming in with already bleached hair and they just have regrowth on their roots, like dark roots, you don't necessarily want or need to bleach. Some people do. Hair a refresher, some people call it a refresher, but if it's unnecessary, it's unnecessary, and it just strips the hair that you've already bleached and it just damages it more. So what you can do in that case, or what people will often do in that case, is just do the roots and not the rest of the hair, because it's already been processed. They might put a toner in it or something at the end, but that's as much as they do, because unless they're adding color, because you don't need to strip it anymore. It's not good for the hair. But otherwise, the roots and the ends tend to process differently. The roots and the ends just naturally, in cases where you don't already have existing hair color on your hair, they don't process as quickly. The roots process most fast, and partially it's because they're closest to your scalp. So another thing people will do is they'll put all that stuff in their hair, and then they'll pile it all on the top of their head, and then they'll put like a shower cap or a plastic bag or something over their hair to keep it in place, and also to keep the heat and the moisture in. But then it's all that heat is in a central location, right? It's like right in the middle of that pile, like a snake coil of hair piled on the top of someone's head. And so the middle processes because it's all hot and blocked off in there, but the outside is cooler because it's closer to the plastic bag on the outside or the shower cap, and so it doesn't process as quickly. Therefore, when you take it all out, you've got some sections that are bleached enough or maybe too much, processed too much. Some sections that are not enough. You have often, depending on the hair type and color, like red streaks or like a reddish or hue. It needs to be deeply toned. 4122. So there are issues with that, and there's a reason that it's done the way that it's done professionally, and that it needs to be timed right and done efficiently and quickly, and also rinsed quickly. When the time is up, the time is up. Now we'll get into why I'm explaining all of this, because it's a huge thing. It's a huge red flag for me, and I've been genuinely concerned. I don't know this woman, but I've been genuinely concerned about her for the last couple of days. Because somebody's asking again, why do you start at the roots? Just to clarify, because they process first, they process fastest, because the heat from the scalp makes them hotter. And so that's why you often end up with really light roots, and then like if people try to bleach their hair down, really light roots or like white, almost white roots, but then the ends are like weird orangish color because it doesn't lift all of the color out. If you start at the ends first, then they have time to start processing, and then you do the roots last. Sometimes you actually sometimes you only you leave the roots out altogether until the last, like, I don't know, anywhere between like 10 to 30 minutes, give or take, on average, depending on what you're doing. If you're doing adding highlights or whatever. It depends on the person and the case, but the reason I bring this up is because she said that makes my skin crawl, gives me the cringes. She said that she had like, I know it sounds gross, but she had like scabs on the side of her scalp, and it was from, I already knew what it was from. I said, please don't tell me you have chemical burns. And she said that's exactly what was going on. It's from the bleach. Because one, they had the bleach on there, I don't know how long, but then two, they cranked up the heat to get it all to process. And she was happy that her hair turned out at least the way she wanted, but now her skin was sensitive there because she had chemical burns from this bleach. And I don't know if it's like an old school thing where people think like, oh, if it hurts, it's working. No, what I was taught in school was if it hurts, something's wrong and you need to figure out a way to do it differently. 4422. So that's my cue on that. And now for somebody who says, because I actually was speaking to somebody, the person who was in the store with me, I was with a female figure. And she asked me, well, why would that matter, like if she's okay with it. I said, well, because she probably doesn't have the education to know what I know, which is that if she continues to let that happen, just for the sake of getting her hair that color, or at least doing it that way, then she can permanently damage her hair follicles, and then the hair won't grow at all, so she'll have nothing to bleach anyway, and you don't want that. I said, have you ever seen a burn victim, and like the skin, even just like on their arm or something, the skin where they have scar tissue won't grow hair? It's like that. So imagine that you get chemical burns from a bleach incident, and now suddenly, I'm not even going to say that out loud or put that out into the universe for everybody, but just, hello. Right, divine masculine, I heard that. It says, now that's valid concern. Yeah, if I didn't know what I know. I told you, chemistry and anatomy were my two favorite parts. So anyway, I hope she's all right. Transmutation Reiki is coming out. 4622. Also, I'm hearing interesting Serenity Reiki. So it's clearing out these salty karmic energies, but also it's a level of balance. There's a balance here. There is a karmic energy that says that they should have left the divine feminine alone. And that they're never going to get away with it. Some of these people thought if they targeted the divine feminine and or tried to separate them from the divine masculine, or just make him not want her, or vice versa, then very strange. They could, as long as she was available, they thought that they could get her back, but they're realizing she doesn't even want me. These fallen masculines, or these karmic males who thought that doing that to her was the best way to get what they wanted in life. No, here now is their plight in life. Yeah, because they got caught. All right, that's it for me. Please remember to pray. Do no harm, take no crap, and I will catch you on the next one. Actually, one more thing before I go. It was hot. Let me do some cord cutting really quickly. Thank you. Good morning, beautiful. How was your night? Mine was wonderful. You by my side. Open your eyes and see your sweet face. Good morning, beautiful day. 4822. I don't know who that's by, but I hear it. I think it's called Good Morning, Beautiful. It's divine masculine wanting to spend time with her. He also says, I might have a little dirt on my boots, but I'm taking you uptown tonight. Might have a little mud on my wheels. It's gonna shine really up inside. Have a little dirt on my boots. We're gonna dance dust right off them tonight. Okay. Namaste, darlings. Those cords are cut now. And the aura repaired. Catch you on the next one.